Welcome back to the Young Turk Show. This is Anna Kasparian. Cenk will not be joining us today. No, I'm just kidding. Everyone's like panicking already. Cenk is joining us today. He's on Skype. He is in New York City, filling in for MSNBC Live, right, Cenk?
Totally rocked it out today already.
So how much ass are you kicking? A little ass, a lot of ass, a medium amount of ass?
The entire ass. It has been kicked. So I did 3 o'clock today. We'll put up the clips on YouTube a little later. And if you remember the Young Turks, of course, you're going to get the show. Who's more of a lib, Obama or Clinton? That was a fun topic. Hey, you know, Anna, we're going to steal a couple of these topics from today for tomorrow's show.
I'm not surprised about that at all. Unsurprising.
Anna's always amused when we steal her topics.
Well, I pick good topics, so it's worth being amused about.
Yeah, what can you do? What can you do? You're too good a producer. What can you do?
All right, Cenk, before we get started with some of the awesome stories I have scheduled for today's program, I want you to tell me about Turk Out the Vote. What is Turk Out the Vote?
Now, here's the situation. We've partnered up with Democracy for America and PCCC. They're already doing something called Call Out the Vote, which makes sense. It's getting everybody to call at certain times together for progressives who fought for us. Not for corporatist Democrats, not for Democrats in general, certainly not for Republicans, but real progressives who fought for us. We got to fight for them. I think that makes all the sense in the world. So you go to turkoutthevote.com. Get it? It's kind of like turn out the vote. Instead, it's Turk Out the Vote. And what it does is it shows you the different candidates that you'll be calling for. Like they got Alan Grayson, they got Tom Perriello, and they got Russ Feingold, Joe Sestak, among others. And it shows you the time that you'll be calling them. You just real quick sign up in about 2.5 seconds, and boom, you're ready to go. The reason we want to do this is to give people an opportunity to participate and to get involved and to say, hey, you know what? We didn't just criticize what was going on, but we actually tried to help and get our fighters back in Congress and some of the new ones too, incumbents, plus some great new fresh faces running for Congress. So check out turkoutthevote.com. If you want to help, that'd be great.
Right, and of course, Alan Grayson is one of the members of Congress that is being endorsed by Turk Out the Vote. And the reason why I bring that up is because the other day, Cenk, I was listening to Michael Smerconish, and I was very upset because he had a disparaging statement about Alan Grayson. It almost made me change the station.
Egads! Gadzooks! I hope not, Casper. That's Smerconish you're talking about.
And then he went on, no. And then he went on to say that Keith Olbermann is the Glenn Beck of MSNBC. I don't know where they get that from. That's so crazy. He doesn't even come close. But yeah, so finally I'm hearing some opinions from Smerconish that I totally disagree with. But I thought you would find enjoyment in that.
I do find great enjoyment in that. Look, here's what a lot of the so-called moderates, the fake moderates in Washington and elsewhere, what they do is they love to say, oh, you know what, Tea Party people, okay, them being against X, Y, or Z, that's bad, but I also hate Alan Grayson. Oh, Alan Grayson, what a kook loon. Well, then I hate Michael Moore, and then they take a pot shot at somebody on MSNBC, usually Keith Olbermann, sometimes Ed Schultz.
Right. All right. I want to start off our stories today with Carl Paladino. Carl Paladino was speaking to a group of Orthodox Jewish leaders in Borough Park. And while he was speaking to them, he went forward talking about, anti-gay marriage, talking about how homosexuals are going to brainwash our children into thinking that gay marriage is normal and okay. I don't want to give too much of it away. We have the video that we will get in for you in just a second. But Cenk, why don't you give us a quick rundown of Carl Paladino? He's running for governor of New York, and he's had a history of saying kooky things, right?
Yes, Carl Paladino was a Tea Party candidate in New York. he wound up upsetting Rick Lazio, who was more of the established Republican. He's, don't worry, trailing by about 30 points in the race to Andrew Cuomo. He's going to get destroyed, and he's a little unhinged. And so every once in a while he'll say something crazy. And remember, he's the one that got into the run-in with the New York Post writer and said that he was coming to his house,
right,
and that he was going to, regulate on his ass.
All right, we have the video for you guys. Let's go to that, and Cenk will talk about it afterwards.
I've been accused of being an angry man. My opponent says that an angry man is unqualified to be governor of New York State. Well, I beg to differ. There are some things in this world that we all must be angry about. During World War II, all decent people were angry at Hitler's extermination of 6 million Jews in the gas chambers of Auschwitz. During the days of the civil rights battle here in the United States, all decent people were angry at the brutal mistreatment of black people down south. Yes, I get real angry when I see injustice and evil, and you should get angry too. We must stop mocking religion in this country. We must stop this indoctrination of our children in our schools and in ideas and values that will prevent them from enjoying happy and successful lives. We must stop pandering to the pornographers and the perverts who seek to target our children and destroy their lives. I didn't march in a gay parade this year, the Gay Pride Parade this year. My opponent did. And that's not the example that we should be showing our children, and certainly not in our schools. And don't misquote me as wanting to hurt homosexual people in any way. That would be a dastardly lie. My approach is live and let live. I just think my children and your children will be much better off and much more successful getting married and raising a family. And I don't want them to be brainwashed into thinking that homosexuality is an equally valid or successful option. It isn't. If you elect me as your next governor, you can depend on me to protect and defend your family from those who seek to tear down our values and bankrupt our citizens. And yes, I will veto all legislation that mocks our sacred institution of marriage and family. I will veto any gay marriage or civil union bill that comes to my desk. Yes, I'm angry, real angry, at the way our politically correct elites are mistreating our innocent children, and I want to protect them and give them a real future in America, the greatest country on God's green earth.
Okay, so, he doesn't have anything against homosexuals. He has nothing against gays, live and let live. He just wants to make sure that they don't have the same rights as heterosexual couples. That's it. It's not that big of a deal.
Am I angry at what's going on? Yes! Who said that? I love the defense of anger. But the great irony is he quotes these civil rights, marches, etc., was angry about the civil rights violations back in the day, and then turns around and says, I'm so angry I'd like to do civil rights violations for gay Americans now.
Right.
That makes no kind of sense. That's the exact opposite. And he's like, it would be a dastardly lie to say that I am against homosexuals, except for the fact that I definitely think they're not as valid as we are.
Right.
And shouldn't necessarily have the same rights.
No. That statement about validity, it says it all about him, okay? Getting married and raising a family, that's considered valid, right? But gay marriage, gay couples, no, that's not a valid option for our children, who are somehow being brainwashed by gays in America, by the way. I don't understand where they get that idea from. Like, when do kids get piled together in one room where gay individuals come in and out and tell them, okay, we're going to brainwash you to be gay. You have to love someone of the same sex as you. It's so stupid. Like, they have these crazy conspiratorial theories. They don't make any sense at all.
That's totally true, Anna. Meanwhile, kids, be gay. Be gay. Look, we're straight. I'm straight. You're straight. And I don't know why they think like liberals or anybody else wants to brainwash the kids to be gay. All we're saying is if you're already gay, don't hate yourself. You know, there's been these rash of suicides recently from gay teenagers. And by the way, in New York, Carl Paladino is conveniently forgetting, in the Bronx, they just attacked gay guys and beat, tortured, and actually also sodomized them. I mean, you want to talk about irony? A bunch of guys attacking a gay guy for being gay and then sodomizing him? Hello?
Yeah, he's such a joke. I'm happy that there's no way that he's actually going to win the governor's race. So, I mean, at this point, I feel like he's just entertaining. It's funny that the media covers him. It's funny to talk about him, but he poses no real threat. So that's a good thing.
I have one last thing here. I like the word perverts.
Yeah, I love the way he said that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before. I thought they were like, and first of all, even calling anyone like perverts is kind of weird. I mean, it's if you're gonna call them anything, call them pervy wankers. but perverts? What's a pervert?
All right. More happened over the weekend that I think you'd find interesting, Cenk. An author of a paperback book actually threw the book at President Obama while he was speaking at a rally in Philadelphia. The Secret Service actually found the guy and investigated it, and they say that the author is just an overexuberant Obama supporter, and he says that he just wanted to make sure that Obama would see his book.
Well, that's one way to do it. We got video on this, right?
We do. We've been playing the video as I was describing the story. So, yeah, so there you go. You see it in slow motion. Yeah,
okay.
and it's funny because Obama has no idea what's going on. Like, he's smiling, he's waving to the audience, and there's this book flying right behind him.
No, I saw it, and so the minute I saw it, I thought, epic fail. Because if you wanted Obama to see the book, mission not accomplished.
Right. And look, obviously this person was doing it for some sort of publicity, but what I love about this story is that the Secret Service has not released this author's identity. We don't even know what the title of the book is. And I think that's great because this was like a total Salahi move, right? Do it for publicity, crash the White House party, try to get your name out there in the tabloids. I think that's what this author was doing to try to sell some books, and it failed in more ways than one. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I like that it's now you've got made a name for it, that it's a Salahi. Yeah. I like that a lot. And by the way, I think it was in Philadelphia where in the past they booed Santa Claus. So when they threw the book, people weren't sure if it was because they were angry at him or if it was just, it's Philadelphia. So of course they're going to do something. But it turns out he was trying to get attention.
Right, exactly. So that's what happened with Obama. What's up with people throwing stuff at the president? That's just not good. It's not safe.
No, and I said it. Look, back when they threw the shoe at Bush, I said it was it was funny. Come on, you have to confess that it was, but at the same time, it's not a good idea. And I kept saying it at the time. It's a terrible idea. And even if you like it against a Republican president, which you shouldn't, you're not going to like it when it's your guy, right?
Right. Jesus right now is rolling video of the day where Bush had a shoe thrown at him. And just looking at his face during this press conference is hilarious. It's amazing how fast Bush was in ducking. There's no question in my mind that shoe would have hit my face. I don't have amazing reflexes like that.
What I like about Bush in that is that he's like perplexed. Like he's got great reflexes, right? And he ducks and he's like, "What's it?" right? But then he's like, "What's going on?" And then the other one comes, he's like, "What's it?" He's like, "What the hell?"
Oh God, this video is legendary. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, we have another great video for you guys. A television host from New Zealand just resigned because of racist comments that he made about New Delhi's chief minister. All right, her name is Sheila Dixit, okay? And he pronounced it wrong during one of his on-air appearances. But he went on and on and on to make a disaster even more disastrous. So let's watch the video, and Cenk, you let me know what you think. Do you think Paul Henry is in the right or the wrong?
All right.
Anyway, so there's that yarn. Also, the dipshit woman. God, what's her name? Dick Shit. Is it Dick Shit?
Dixit.
Oh,
Dixit.
oh, Dixit.
Dixit.
It just
No.
looks different to what you say.
Well, it looks like Dick Shit.
I know it does, Paul, but it's not that. It's Dixit.
There she is there. Sheila Dick Shit.
Sheila,
Anyway, and it's so appropriate because she's Indian. So she'd be Dickin Shit, wouldn't she? Do you know what I mean?
Paul, her name
Walking along the street.
is Ms. Dixit.
Oh, Dixit. Well, that's what I said, isn't it?
No.
No, you did not. You
It's
said
just so
something
funny.
else.
Can we just have another look at the key? It's just so funny, isn't she? So how we asked Mrs. Dick Shit what the condition of the apartments was like. Well, they're a bit mucky. Anyway, so that's a bit funny, isn't it? Delhi Chief Minister Sheila Dick Shit. Anyway, I know because
Stop it.
I've known about her for a while, and I've been laughing ever since.
Wow, that was an epic failure. I can't believe that he kept going on, even though there were two other people in that newscast that were not laughing, that obviously felt uncomfortable and wanted him to stop as soon as possible. But he was like laughing at his own jokes. It's like a really, really bad comedian who doesn't get that he's not funny, and he continues laughing at his own jokes. It was terrible. That was such a bad situation.
Well, here's two different problems with it, right? First of all, the guy's a child, right? He's like, get this, it's dick shit. You're like, all right, dude, bring it down, man. Okay, but that's not a firing offense. It's just he's got a bad sense of humor, and I get it. That's what it looks like. Okay, 10-2. But the part that I think gets him in bigger trouble is when he says it's so appropriate because she's Indian. I was like, wait, I don't get that. Why is that appropriate?
Right. No, exactly. And that's the reason why he got fired. Right after that broadcast, there were several groups protesting and sharing their thoughts on the broadcast and how they thought that it was inappropriate. And it turns out that he decided, you know what, I made a huge mistake, lack of judgment. I'm definitely going to resign from my job. In fact, he issued a statement. He said that he is no longer practical in the current environment for me to do the job I was employed to do. It is also difficult for Television New Zealand to get on with the business of being a first-class broadcaster as long as I remain on the staff. So he realized his mistake and he resigned immediately.
All right. Then he added, and I'd like to apologize to Miss Dick Shit.
But you know what? Okay, look. In his defense, just a tiny defense, her name really does look like it's pronounced Dickshit because it's spelled Dikshit. But after mispronouncing it once and then getting corrected, move on with your life. Don't continue insulting this woman's name and insulting Indians. It's ridiculous. So, oh God. And then you know what? When I read this story, I really stood back and thought about it because there's that political correctness in the United States and we're so quick to judge others and maybe there's a more laxed atmosphere in New Zealand. But as you mentioned, as soon as he said, so it's so appropriate because she's Indian, no, done. That's not okay. That's not an appropriate statement to make on a live broadcast or any broadcast at all.
Yeah, no, look, I get it. It's a funny name. I got a bunch of Indian friends with a lot of funny names. Like, you know, I don't even want to get into it, but there's like a million of them, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, throughout their lives, they've had the... Okay, look, I knew a girl named Sheetal, okay? Sheet-ho, okay? And so, since third grade on, they'd be like, jackass like this, etc. But that's so not a big deal. Him going on and on about the name, it's weird and asinine. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have done a thing about it, right? Except that guy's got bad humor and he should move. Like, if you play the Beavis and Butthead thing, once, that's fine. Anyway, who cares? It's that he says it's appropriate for Indians.
Right.
Totally out of bounds. But to the point where I don't even understand it. Why is that appropriate for Indians? What, does he, hate Indians and think they're, dick and shit? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all either. But he's gone. Paul Henry is now jobless in New Zealand. So that's what you get for having bad humor and saying racist things on television. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Piers Morgan is going to be not a fill-in, but he's actually taking Larry King's place on CNN. And he has an interesting strategy of how to become successful. So I want to share that with you guys when we come back.
To let me know, should I stay or should I go?
Welcome back to the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur with you. Before we get to the story about Piers Morgan, Cenk has an update for you guys on Sharon Angle. Cenk, take it away.
Yeah, I love this. It happened over the weekend. Sharon Angle, all of a sudden, an enormous backpedal on unemployment insurance, Social Security, and Medicare. She now says, like, what? They're totally fine. No, me, take them away. No, of course I'm not going to take them away. You know what that means? It means two things. One, she saw the polling on those issues, and it turns out people like their Social Security and Medicare.
Right.
And she was like, backpedal, backpedal, backpedal. I got to get out of here. And number two, it means, she's in some trouble in the internal polling against Harry Reid, because she wouldn't backpedal like that if she didn't see the numbers in the general election slipping away from her. So that's really good news in Nevada.
Right. Cenk, let me ask you a question. So let's say the Republicans take over both the House and Congress, and we know that they're against unemployment benefits. We know that they're against Medicare. We know that they're against Social Security and they want to privatize it. Do you think that if they take hold of both the House and the Senate, that they are just going to completely ignore public opinion or popular opinion and do what they really want to do?
Well, yes and no. They're certainly going to try, because how do I know that? Because they did it before when Bush was in office and they had the whole House, the whole Congress. They tried to privatize Social Security. Now, they failed. They lost the vote on that. So they're not likely to succeed on that, even if Republicans are controlling. Mm-hmm. But with President Obama, he would veto that anyway. So,
well, we'd like to think.
Yeah. We'd like to think, but and so I think that there's some chance that if they win, let's say just the House, because I think the Senate's pretty unrealistic at this point, that they'll pass a whole bunch of bills that they think are awesome and massively right wing, mm-hmm. and that the rest of the country will think is not so awesome, and President Bush, I'm sorry, look at this Freudian slip. Sorry, President Obama will hopefully veto all that anyway. But it'll help Obama get reelected in 2012, I think, because it'll say, hey, do you really want those guys? Did you want those bills passing?
Right.
So that's probably how it'll go. But you know, Obama, he's bound to compromise on something. So who knows? If they have the House, they might actually get some stuff passed because the Democrats are so scared.
Right. All right. Well, Piers Morgan is set to be Larry King's replacement on CNN, and he has been doing interviews and talking about what his strategy for success is. And I thought his strategy was a scary one. All right. I'm going to read you what he says. He says, I just saw some survey that asked people which cable news anchor they like the most. Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck were 1 and 2. Then there was a list of who people dislike the most. Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck were the top of that list too. That's when you know they're a success. Half the people love you and half think you're a douchebag. So he says that his whole strategy is to pick fights with the right enemies. So he wants to be a shock jock. He wants to take after the same model as Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly. And I think that's scary because, look, even though Larry King was known for asking mediocre questions and not being that interesting, at least once in a while he would have interesting guests that would answer his mediocre questions, and you would get real information from those people that were being interviewed. We don't need another shock jock. I think that's crazy. But then again, at the same time, CNN's ratings suck, and maybe this is what they need. Maybe they need someone that's going to stir the pot a little bit.
I like how Anna throws Larry King under the bus there while doing the Piers Morgan story, and then later throws CNN under the bus as well. Look, here's the thing. Piers Morgan, I believe, ran a conservative tabloid in England as well. So that's apparently to some degree his proclivity. Perhaps that's why he used those examples. And I don't mind if he's opinionated. That could be interesting. And if you're ever opinionated, some percentage of people will like you and some will dislike you. There's no way of avoiding that. But if you're going around saying, yeah, I'm going to be like Glenn Beck and Bill O'Reilly, yeah, then we got issues. You're likely to say, asinine things,
Right.
probably just to be provocative too. And that seems really fake. And I think that might be my bigger problem with it than him being one side or another politically.
Right. Look, I have no problem with being opinionated. That's what we do. That's what Rachel Maddow does. That's what Keith Olbermann does. Being opinionated is one thing. Being a douchebag is another. And it seems like he's shooting for both things. He wants to be opinionated and a douchebag. And he wants to take after the Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck model, and I think that's terrible. We don't need another one of them on television. But we'll see what happens. And you're right about him running a tabloid, a conservative tabloid in England.
Yeah. So, yeah, no. I'm with you. And look, the key thing there is him saying a douchebag, right? Because who sets out to be a douchebag? I mean, I don't think even douchebags set out to be douchebags.
Right.
I think you only do that if you're going to create some sort of fake controversy or outrage. And that's what bothers me.
Right. All right. Let's get to some gay scandal involving a student teacher in Oregon. This student teacher's name is Seth Stemberg. And he was basically part of a graduate program in Oregon where you have to go to certain elementary schools and teach, and it's all part of their education program. So he's getting a master's in education. While he was teaching a 4th grade class, one of the students raised his hand and asked whether or not this student teacher was married. And he answered back and said, well, if I were to get married, I would choose a man, and marrying men is illegal for me. So when administrators found out about this, they were upset and they decided to let him go, and he's no longer a student teacher at this particular elementary school. But what was interesting about this story is he got turned in by this 4th grader's father, right? And the 4th grader's father filed 2 complaints in regard to the student teacher. The first complaint had to do with the way the student teacher was dressed. The second complaint had to do with, the candid gay talk he had with the 4th grader. And the father says that he was dressed inappropriately because he was wearing pressed slacks, an Oxford-style shirt, and his grandfather's cardigan.
No, I don't get. I love that part of the story. I was like, wait, why is that inappropriately dressed?
Right.
It's not like it's provocative, right? It's not like it's skimpy. Is cardigan, etc. Are those just too gay? I didn't even know that.
Right. That sounds like a totally perfect, clean-cut look to me. I don't think there are any problems with that. And, administrators at the school realized that as well, and they threw out that complaint. But then when it came to the second complaint, when it had to do with the student teacher talking to other students about homosexuality, well, that bothered the administrators a little bit, and they decided, look, we're going to let this guy go. And I guess my question is, do you think that was appropriate? And remember, he was talking to a 9-year-old.
No, I hear you. No, it's not appropriate to fire that guy. Although, I get that you should try to avoid that conversation. So if I was a principal, maybe I pull him aside and say, look, dude, nice cardigan. The flip side is when somebody asks you about your personal life, just, skip right past it. It doesn't really matter. If you're straight and it turns out you're banging like 3 different chicks, don't tell the 9-year-old that. He doesn't need to know that part of that conversation. So, but is it a firing offense? No, that's crazy talk.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And just to be clear, like I said before, he's not an employee at this school. He's a student teacher, which means it's like an internship at a school. He wants to be a teacher. Part of his education is to go to schools and kind of volunteer and see what it's like to be a teacher hands-on. And what sucks about this is when they let him go, that's going to set him back in the curriculum, because now he has to wait till the next semester or the next quarter to find another school that'll take him. His lawyer says that some schools might look at this and frown on this, but thankfully he has found another school in Portland where he can be a student teacher and move on with his life. But it's so dumb. Like, I can understand it's a 9-year-old and you don't want to share your personal life or your sex life with a 9-year-old, but all he said was, I can't get married in Oregon because gay marriage is illegal. That's it. I mean, who cares? I just hate the idea that so many people want to shelter their kids from something that's fact, something that's out there, something that they're going to come across in the future anyway.
Yeah. And, then the other teachers were worried because there's, of course, other gay and lesbian teachers in Oregon. And they're like, well, are we all going to get fired? And then people are like, no, no, no. We were just finding that one gay guy because he made the mistake of mentioning it. I mean, that stuff's a little scary, right?
Right.
And I don't know why we're listening to that parent so much. But that parent definitely has issues. I mean, guy's going on and on about how this guy's dressed. I heard he also said he's got a pretty mouth.
No, he didn't say that, Jake.
Oh, he didn't? Okay. He had beautiful hair.
All right, we have another teacher that's in a bit of trouble. This teacher is from Tennessee, and he was fired after he had a nervous breakdown in his classroom. He actually ended up throwing 2 chairs, a garbage can, 2 tables, a garbage can, and a chair during his 11th grade algebra class. We actually have video of this. One of the students was taking video with his cell phone. So let's watch the video, and I'll give you more details on this story.
Another student in my life is shut up. Shut up. If you can be absolutely quiet, if you can shut your mouth. You can shut your mouth and you can listen. You can silence. You know why? Because I have the power. I've got the power. I got it. Okay, you got it. And I know it. Hey, man. And guess who else knows it? How did you know? You motherfucker. You want another table? Yeah. Do you know who started the fire in this school? No, me!
All right, so as you can see in the beginning, it starts off pretty bad. He tells them to shut up, and everyone's laughing. It's chaotic in the classroom, and it escalates to the point where he's throwing things around. To be honest, look, I've looked at that video so many times, and in the beginning, it almost seems like he's joking around with the students because he has like this grin on his face. So I know that if I were in that classroom, I wouldn't necessarily take him that seriously. But then toward the end, he totally flips out and loses it. And, some of the students got scared. They got out of the classroom. And some of them didn't even go to any of their other classes for the rest of the day because they were so distraught over what happened. Cenk, what are your thoughts on this video?
First of all, shut your mouth. That was my favorite part of the video, actually.
Right.
So, no, of course. Here, I got an idea. If you're a teacher, don't throw stuff at the kids. That's crazy. Don't throw stuff anywhere. It's equally crazy. So, I mean, it's not much of a conversation here. Guilty.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Guilty, 100%. He's been a teacher for 32 years. And that's the part that really interests me. The fact that you can be a teacher for so long, or you could work in any profession for so long, and you never know how it's going to end. Like, you never know when you're going to flip your shit and it's going to go crazy. You're going to go crazy and lose everything.
You know what, though, Anna? Now that you told me that about the 32 years, not guilty.
Really?
He's been putting up with their bullshit for 32 frickin' years, right?
Right.
He's like, you know what? I had enough of this. End of this.
Yeah, and he just let it all go. Well, authorities came, of course, and they talked to him, and they said that he suffered a nervous breakdown, and when he was talking to police, he wasn't making much sense. So he was completely out of it. I mean, God, a little part of me does sympathize with him a little bit. First of all, you can't throw chairs, you can't throw anything at kids, that's crazy. But I can understand having a nervous breakdown when you're dealing with unruly kids day in and day out. So part of me feels kind of bad for him. But then, of course, another part of me is like, no, dude, you can't do that. You gotta find a better way to manage your emotions when you're in the classroom. Like,
I have a solution to this thing. Look, he's got to go, right? I mean, there's got to be something. I don't know if it's fired. I don't know if it's suspension, whatever. There's obviously has to be consequences. You can't throw stuff like that, right? But the flip side is, man, if he decides to retire or whatever, give him his pension. Don't mess with that, okay? So in that sense, let him go. Let him go. He's done his time, man. Imagine being in that classroom for 32 freaking years. You'd lose your mind too.
Yeah, I think I would as well. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we have a lawyer who is suing his firm for disciplining him for not attending a naked camp. We'll be back on the Young Turks with that. Welcome back to the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur with you. All right, we have a story about a California lawyer. His name is Stephen Eggleston, and he is actually suing the law firm he works for because he claims that he was asked to attend a nude retreat, and when he refused to do so, his firm punished him by cutting his pay and by yelling at him. Now, he claims that the retreat that he was forced to go to, which he declined to go to, by the way, was the New Warrior Training Adventure. And he says that his employer first told him about it, but wouldn't give him the details about the retreat. So then Stephen Eggleston said, all right, well, I'm going to go online and research it for myself. When he researched it, he said that he found out that men would be holding hands and walking naked, blindfolded through a forest. Then they would sit nude in groups of 30 to 50, passing around a wooden dildo and giving lurid details of their sexual history. So, of course, Stephen was not interested in attending such a retreat. He declined to do it, and after he declined, he says that his employers completely cut his pay to the point where he wasn't making any money. Now he's suing the firm because of that. Now, at first I was like, no way. There's no retreat that does this, and there's no way an employer would force an employee to go to this retreat. But I did do a little research on it. In fact, one of the talk show hosts at KFI here in Los Angeles interviewed one of the organization's spokespeople, and he says, yes, we do sit around naked, we do pass a dildo around, but it's all about male empowerment. It doesn't have any, it's not supposed to be a negative experience. It's supposed to be men being candid with one another and really empowering one another without societal expectations. So, Cenk, are you going to attend the New Warrior Training Adventure anytime soon?
Hell no.
I think this, this is a male dominant office, and I think it would be a good experience for you guys to go hold hands in the buff and pass around a wooden dildo as you talk about your sexual experiences.
As you were telling this story and you said the guys are holding hands, I started to think bloop, 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 bloop. And then you said, then they're all naked. And I was like, bloop, 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 bloop.
Right.
And that was before they started touching each other's penises.
Right. Look, the part about touching one another's penises, that's not supposed to happen. Now, this attorney says that on the website it said something about men grabbing one another's penises. A spokesperson for this retreat said, no, that's not true. Genital touching is not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to take place. But although they do pass around a dildo, and it's supposed to be like I don't know what it's called, but when you go to a group and you pass around like a talking stick, I guess it's a talking stick, and as soon as somebody has a hold of the dildo, that's when they know that it's their turn to speak.
Where do they hold the dildo?
Wrong. That's disgusting.
No, come on. Are you kidding me? Look, you're telling me, first of all, there's no way in the world I'm getting naked with a bunch of other guys and holding their hands and sitting in a campfire and then telling stories about our sex life. It's inconceivable under any circumstances. But then the holding of the dildo and the possibly touching each other's private parts, this is madness. It's not even Sparta. There's no way. And then, so does this lawyer have a good case for cutting his salary because he wouldn't go hold a dildo while being naked with another dude? Of course, that's like the best case in the history of mankind.
Right. You know, I'm really surprised that any employer would even consider something like this. Because I think there are laws against this. Couldn't this be deemed sexual harassment in a way? Like asking asking your employer to attend a nude retreat? That's super uncomfortable. I don't know what I would do if that were to happen to me. Like, that's just too weird. You're not supposed to do that as an employer.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be like manly and stuff, right? And not gay. But dude, I mean, come on. If it wasn't gay, I wouldn't have the dudes holding the dildo. Okay? I mean, no. I wouldn't do any of that stuff if it wasn't gay. No, this is obviously a way for some repressed guys who don't want to come out to, you know, go and have some fun in the woods. And I bet that guy was getting pressured because his boss at work wanted to see what he looked like, you know, in the woods. And so I think he has the best case in the world for sexual harassment. No question.
Right.
I mean, why was his boss so motivated to get him naked in the woods?
Very well may be homosexual.
Come on, dude.
All right. I have one final quote that might change your mind a little bit. And this is from the spokesperson of Mankind Project, which is a partner with the retreat. The quote is, "You will see men mentor other men, support each other, play together in a form that's safe. And then during your training, you will stand shoulder to shoulder with an immensely rich mix of masculinity with occupations and ages as wide as masculinity itself."
Oh, bloop, 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 bloop.
So there'll be a lot of wide masculinity there, as mentioned by the spokesperson.
You say, we've got a lot of wide masculinity over there, and we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder and play with each other. What, gay? What? What do you mean gay? What do you mean? That put me in trouble.
All right, let's move on. Lisa Rinna is making her rounds of interviews, promoting her new book, Starlet, and she says that it is a fiction that is based on her life. And, you know, she talks about some of her experiences during casting calls, and she says that she was asked to have sex one time when she went out auditioning for a big TV role. She says, "I lost a role on a big TV series because I wouldn't bend over a chair in a producer's office for just a quickie. Just pull your panties down and bend over and the role is yours," he said to me. That's amazing. Like, you hear stories about that all the time, but I always question whether or not this actually happens. And yeah, this actually did happen. Michael Bay actually did have Megan Fox wash his Ferrari. And, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow talked about this, and she says that she had a similar experience. While talking to Elle, Gwyneth Paltrow said, "Yup, when I was just starting out, someone suggested that we finish a meeting in the bedroom. I left. I was pretty shocked. I couldn't see how someone who didn't know better might worry. My career will be ruined if I don't give this guy a blowjob."
No, look, I'm right there with you, Anna. I've heard these stories before, and I can't quite believe them because my mind doesn't comprehend that somebody thinks that they can get away with that, but apparently they do. So apparently I'm totally wrong. I mean, look at that. Even in the first story, she just walked out. That guy didn't get in any trouble. He probably did that how many times? 10 times, 20 times, 100 times? How many times did it work? You know, and I'm in total disbelief over it. I don't know why I'm so naive about it, but I mean, how do you tell a woman who came in for a job, bend over a chair and pull down your panties? I just don't live in that world. I don't know, you know. And look, for guys, there's a thing of like, you know, oh, I saw that in a movie, you know. No, but these are real people. It's not a movie, right? Telling that to a real woman, that's despicable, you know. I don't know how they live with themselves.
I believe it too, that it happens. I never doubted it. But what's kind of puzzling, and maybe it's happened, I don't know. No one has gone to any casting calls with a hidden camera or something to really show it actually happening one time.
Yeah.
Ever, as many times it's had to have happened. No one's ever like, you know what, I'm just going to go on several of them and see when and if it happens. It has to happen at some point. If someone ever, I don't know if anyone even thinks about doing that. Maybe not.
What I'm wondering is how prevalent is this today? Because obviously this happened in the beginning of Lisa Rinna's career. It happened in the beginning of Gwyneth Paltrow's career. So this was a while ago. I'd like to think that we've progressed enough to the point where casting directors and things like that aren't sexually harassing would-be actresses, but who knows? Who knows how prevalent it is today? Who knows how many celebrities we see in the movie theaters today that are victims of this or who have given into this? It's creepy. It's scary. And I remember when we heard about Megan Fox supposedly going over to Michael Bay's house and washing his Ferrari, I remember thinking that that was shocking and crazy. But having someone during a casting call like tell you to your face like, hey, you need to bend over, that's completely different. That's, as Jenk said, despicable. Makes me kind of happy that I never got involved in that type of business, because I don't know how I would handle myself in that kind of situation. By the way, Lisa Rinna actually saw that person again during a red carpet event, and she went up to him and said, I know everyone in this town, and if you ever do to me, to someone else, to what you did to me, I totally butchered this quote, sorry. I know everyone in this town, and if you ever do what you did to me again to someone else, I will tell everyone your dirty secret.
Yeah. You know, the problem is that, and the reason I think male producers do this in Hollywood, and I've heard some off-the-record stuff about how it still goes on with people that are so big you can't believe that they would do anything like that. But, you know, I think it's because, especially early on in their careers, these actresses have such little power and they're scared to death. It's such a fickle industry that, you know, it's so easy to not get a job that if you complain, then people are like, oh, yeah, that's the one that always complains or something, right? And so in a situation where somebody has that much power, you know what happens. It's the same thing that happens with the clergy, the same thing that happens with the politicians. It always gets abused.
Right. All right, Jenk. Well, thank you for joining us, even though you're in New York. It was a lot of fun. And you will be...
Miss Kasparian, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you thanking me for it.
You know, it's so weird, Jenk, because when I have you here, it's like, you're Jenk, you're a goofball. But for some reason, when you're on Skype, I feel like it's a different feel to it. Like I have to be professional or something.
Yeah, I feel that with you. You're like, you know, you're like, this is Anna Kasparian, and I am joined now by Cenk Uygur via Skype. Just calm down, dude. I'm right here. It's the same person.
You know what it is? Because I'm so used to you taking control. So, like, in this situation, in this scenario, I have to take control, and it's totally weird. But I'll do better. Next time I'll be less professional. That way it'll be more like a regular TYT show. Okay,
hey, you know what? I don't mind you taking control. Just don't tell me to bend over or anything, okay?
Okay.
And I'm not going in the woods with a dildo. It's not happening.
All right. Cenk's with us again at the same time tomorrow, and you will be hosting MSNBC Live tomorrow as well at 3 p.m. Eastern Time?
Yes, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to bring it. We're going to try to get some conservative guests on and do a little battle. That'll be fun. And then, of course, later today, we also have Michael doing the show at 8 o'clock Eastern. He's going to have some great guests and talk to you about the elections a little bit. So more TYT than you can shake a stick at.
All right. We'll see you guys back here again at 8 p.m. Eastern. Young Turks.
I represent, set up shit like a tech boy. You're paranoid 'cause